So in order for me to tell you about the dumbest guy I know, I got to give you some background here. So as you know, I've got 12 solar panels. I've got 8 batteries. 7 of them are 100 amp hour batteries and 1 of them 75 amp hour battery. I don't know why I have the 75 amp hour. I would imagine I bought it when I first got down here. When we moved here, we were traveling the country in our truck camper, homemade truck camper, and I had one battery inside the camper and I had the regular truck battery, and they were both tied together so I could draw energy to power my appliances from both batteries. But that also meant that when I was driving down the road, the alternator would charge both batteries. So as long as I was careful not to let the batteries drop down below 12.3 volts, I always had plenty of battery to start the truck. That being said, I always had a generator and a charge controller to charge the batteries. I didn't have solar panels back then, so I would run the generator 8 hours a day, 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the evening to charge the batteries. But on travel days, you didn't get to charge the batteries with the generator, so you had to tie it into the truck. Now, there's all kinds of devices you could buy, so you weren't actually drawing the battery from the truck, but you could charge the camper battery from the truck. But I wanted both batteries. So when we got here and we took the camper off the truck and we lived in this for several months before we got the tiny house built, I needed that extra battery. So I bought a battery. My assumption is that's when I bought the 75 amp hour battery, just to replace the truck battery. When you read the experts' opinions on that, all your batteries are supposed to be the same amp hour. But I don't really notice a problem with it, because when you tie them all together, essentially what I have is a 775 amp hour battery, because it acts as one unit. So I'm sure there's some science behind it, or it might have just been some off-grid guy web page that said, no, you got to have them all the same size, but it doesn't seem to bother mine. On a sunny day, I can have the batteries charged from overnight use running that freezer in about 3 to 4 hours. By 11, 12 o'clock, somewhere around there, it's charged. Now the solar panels up there, the two, they start receiving sun probably around 8:30 in the morning. We've got 6 panels on one charge controller, 6 panels on the other charge controller, and they all run to one battery bank. The 2 up there collectively has 10 amps. Now the sun doesn't really come over the trees until 9:30, but there's still some daylight, so in total I get about 15 to 20 amps at 8:30 in the morning, and then when the sun finally pops over the trees, both charge controllers are producing about 20 amps each. If it's a cloudy day like this and I'm not getting a lot of amps in the morning, and then the sun clears, or the cloud clears and the sun comes out, I can get about 30 amps each, roughly. These panels are a little old, so I've talked about this, I've micro cracked them by accident, so they don't produce, the older ones don't produce as many amps. They're supposed to produce 5 amps each. But so I get anywhere from 25 to 30 amps if these clouds were to roll away right now. So as you can see, all morning we've been under clouds, so I didn't get any charge, and it's been kind of stressful because I need to fill my water. Now my water uses 800 watts, and I have 1200 in solar panels. But on cloudy days, I really got to make sure these batteries are charged before I go to bed. It's probably a safe bet that I won't fill the water today. I fill the water every day that it's sunny, or I know it's going to be sunny, some sort of effect like that, but they're saying it's supposed to be cloudy all day. Well, the rain has stopped. It's 1:30 in the afternoon, and the batteries are not charged yet. I said they usually get charged by 11 to 12 o'clock. They're not even close to being charged, because the charge controllers don't even kick on until the solar panels are producing at least 14 volts. They weren't producing 14 volts with this heavy cloud cover, so they didn't turn on until, I would say about noon. So when your batteries are fully charged, you'll be getting 0 amps into the batteries, but the batteries will be at 14.4 volts. But right now, I'm getting 14 amps per charge controller, but the volts is only 13.1 into the batteries. Now, the solar panels are producing much more than that, but the batteries themselves are only at 13.1 right now. So it's got a long ways to go to get charged. So I want to make sure that I got enough battery to get the freezer to run through the night. So I got to get the batteries charged. So that's more important to me than getting the tank filled. Now, I've said many times that I want to start testing the system before winter, because during winter your days are shorter and you have more cloudy days. So I want to make sure that I can still fill the tank, the water tank, with the well off the solar panels during winter. I know I'm not going to be able to do it every day like I have during the summer. It's been very easy doing it in the summer. I get up at 9:30 or come out here at 9:30, turn the well on, fill the tank, shut the well off, and by noon the batteries are charged. But here, the last part of July, it's been more like spring rains. It's been hot and very humid, but we're getting rains almost every day now. You can see that prior to this, all spring we weren't getting any rain. Everything died. It's starting to grow back up again, but everything was dead. Well, maybe you can't see, but a few videos ago you would have seen, we weren't getting any rain. Now we're getting rain all the time. So this is actually kind of good news for me, because now I can start testing when there's plenty of daylight to test. I know tomorrow's supposed to be sunny. So even if I don't get the charge today, I can make sure that everything works out tomorrow. But the thing is, the weatherman is never right. First of all, it wasn't supposed to rain at all today, but then I get up this morning and we had a 60% chance. By 9 o'clock we had a 100% chance. So I mean, they're never right. It was only supposed to rain for, I think, an hour, and it turned into like a 3 or 4 hour event, and then it was supposed to be cloudy the rest of the day. Well, you can see the clouds are starting to break apart over here. That's north, that's northwest over here, and everything's moving southeast. I would imagine in another hour or so those clouds would be gone. At least I think. I mean, I don't know, they don't seem to be moving too fast, but it would seem like they would be gone. But regardless, the sun is starting to peek through. So we're getting a charge. So this thing has to be charged by, I would say 7 p.m. tonight, 6, 7 p.m. The days are starting to get shorter, obviously, because it's summertime. A few weeks ago, I would have said 8:30. So tomorrow, I'm gonna fill the well. Or I'm sorry, the tank. But all this is kind of an experiment. And we used quite a bit of water yesterday. We probably used 25 gallons. So then again today, we'll probably use at least another 10 gallons. There's 35 gallons. Typically, I try to fill the tank when we've only used about 15 gallons on a sunny day. So this is all good. I used to run, as you know, the well off the generator. Haven't ran the well off the generator once since we got all this more efficient. That being said, it seems like I have to repeat this all the time. I get a question like this at least once a week. Oh, I pick those up off the ground and put them on top of your shed. You get more sunlight, move them around. And they always want them off the ground. They stay so much cooler on the ground. I made a video not that long ago where I showed you with my little laser thermometer what the ground temperature was, what solar panel temperature was. If these get above 78 degrees, they start losing voltage. There was one day it got down to 104, and I lost 25% of my efficiency on my solar panels. Now, fortunately, I have it arranged now where the majority of the charge is early in the morning. It's still cool out. By the time it gets up to 104, it's noon, 1 o'clock, and the battery's already charged. But if you keep them on the ground, they stay cooler. So if I wanted, which we don't, wanted to run the air conditioner, we could run the air conditioner with them being on the ground. Now, we did run the air conditioner. I was able to test that theory when Carolyn's son was here. Yeah, these clouds are still moving out. I can see they're moving. I told you about a commenter that I had the other day, and I'm sure it was one of these off-grid channels. They like to come over to my channel and tell me how dumb I am because I'm not prepared for SHTF. Now, these guys, at least the one I think that keeps beating on me, I've not really seen how he is prepared for SHTF. He has a garden, I know that, and he knows how to can food. And beyond that, I'm not too sure he can handle it. Now, when they talk about SHTF, They're not talking about, you know, a hurricane comes through and 2 weeks later you're back up and running. They're talking about societal breakdown. They're talking about zombie apocalypse, although they're not really zombies, but they act like zombies, and they're going to have their mag come in, and they're going to be standing guard like a military operation. But I've never really seen how these guys are actually doing it, because they don't show their equipment. I show my equipment. I don't have a lot of equipment. I don't need a lot of equipment. This is how I live. 12 solar panels, a well. I got 2 generators just in case, and a tiny house, a wood stove, and a bunch of firewood for 15 years. I mean, I can rattle it off in a video. Most people talk about their TV, their cable bill, their electric bill, you know, the water bill, and it goes on, but I just don't have that much. But these guys consistently tell me I'm not prepared for SHTF. Well, good. I'm not a prepper. I come out here to live off grid, to be happy and stress-free, and I've accomplished that. So I'm not sure why I got to stress all the time about the end of the world. I don't know why I got to scare my audience all the time for the end of the world. If the end of the world happens, I always say, I would imagine I have a much better chance of survival for a longer period of time than the preppers do, because I can't say that for sure. But based on the equipment I have, and based on what equipment I've seen them have, I'm not trying to power an air conditioner, for example. Watched one prepper said, I gotta figure out how to power my central air. Well, I got an idea. Don't. So he comes on and he tells me I am in no better shape than anybody else, because if there is no sunlight, I'm not going to get any electric, so I'll be in just as bad a shape as these people. As him, I guess. I don't know. Okay. So I just spent the first half of this video explaining to you that it was cloudy all morning. Sun pops up and I'm starting to get charged. I think I'm going to make it. Of course, he said, you can't run the generator during SHTF because there's no gasoline. What are you going to do when you run out of gasoline? I'll wait for the sun to come out. These people always are trying to figure out how to tear you down. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I do have some grip on mental conditions. I used to work for a sheltered workshop. And in the shelter workshop, we hired disabled people. And a lot of people have these mental conditions, autism and anxiety and depression. And a lot of them were just narcissists. And so you had to understand how to operate with these people, how to work with these people. I mean, we were trying to teach them how to work in a manufacturing environment. That was our mission. And the thing I've always noticed about at least the clients that I worked with, is the narcissist clients, is if you had something better than them, they had to figure out a way to tell you that what you had was not better. It's actually worse. In my opinion, this prepper guy, that's what he's trying to do. He comes on my channel, he sees people watching my videos, and he's trying to tell my audience, come over to my channel, because this guy's a dummy. He's got solar panels. Can you believe how stupid he is? Don't you realize when there's no sun, he's not going to have any electric? Well, you're never going to have electric. Let's say it was cloudy for a week, and I can't fill my tank for a week. I guess I would say to Carolyn, we're really going to have to limit the amount of water we use this week until the sun comes back out. So maybe we could just fill a tub of water and do some sponge baths. Maybe we could somehow figure out how to reduce the amount of water when we're doing dishes. Maybe we just don't do dishes. Maybe we throw the steak on the grill, and when we eat it, we just don't use forks. We just eat it by hand, and then wash our hands with the water that we've got in reserve. When we were nomads, we had 40 gallons of water for 2 weeks. That's all we were allowed to have. We use 25 gallons a day now, but we had 40 gallons, so it lasts us 2 weeks. So that means in 2 days, if we were using the amount of water we use now, then within 2 days, we'd be out of water. I've always told you that we don't need the freezer. If SHTF were to happen, I've always said we would start canning our food in the freezer. Once it's all canned up, we can shut off the freezer. Then the only thing the solar panels would actually have to power, the only thing is the well. And even if it was a cloudy day and I wanted to fill it, it would be no big deal. I could run it off the batteries. Of course, somebody's going to say, well, those batteries will eventually go bad on you. That is highly unlikely, especially during SHTF. Because in SHTF, the batteries are always going to be in a fully charged state. They're always going to be maintained. It never goes bad if you take care of it. In my mind, these guys are deliberately trying to dumb us down so they look smarter, when really they're not. So if you'll click this up next box, take the video where I was talking about moving to Arizona. So if I can inspire you, don't be tricked by the dummies. Sing live your dreams. Thanks for watching.